Don't you just hate it when you do something perfectly only to realize that you forgot to hit the record button? All right, so I've got a piece of paper here that is not inked, but I'm going to show you how I die cut this. This particular die has edges all the way around it. It's intended to be a die cut for the front of a card, but because I want to do it on a space that's bigger than that, I'll show you the trick to it. So what I'm going to do first, my paper here is just a little bit wider, but the technique is exactly the same. So I'm putting the top edge and the side edge just inside the cutting edge on the die. And then I'm going to take some tape here. You could use washi tape, you could use painter's tape, just a type of tape that will be easy for you to take off. So I'm going to tape that paper in place, and then I'm putting my paper and die inside the machine, but instead of putting the plate to cover the entire thing, I am going to shove the plate in, and I want the edge of this plate to come just shy of the cutting blade on my die. That way there's not going to be any pressure there, and that's not going to die cut. There we go. So see how there's no cutting line there? That's because the plate wasn't on it, so there was nothing for it to cut. Now, the plate did cut the edge of my tape, but that's totally fine. The purpose of the tape is to keep it all in place so it doesn't happen to shift on you while you're putting your thing through your machine. Now, a lot of these stars fall right out. If they don't fall out, you can take your die pick and you can poke them out. And I typically poke them from front to back so that if anything is attached, I can just pull it. And if the cardstock rips, it's on the back side of the die cut. Now this one here is going to be, this particular piece is a little bit longer than my diorama. So you can only do this, like you couldn't do this for an indefinite piece of paper because you need, the plate is going to be on one edge of the die. So you can only do this for something that's just slightly shy of twice the size of the die, if that makes sense. There's no way to have the plate not on both edges. It can be on not on one edge, but the plates are the size that they are. It's impossible to not have it covering one of the edges. You could try, if you really wanted to do something bigger, you could try having the plate here and then not running it through all the way through, but that gets a little bit complicated. And I think myself, I probably wouldn't have a whole lot of success with it, but it is something that you could try if you wanted it a little bit wider. All right, put my plate in again. Once again, it's just shy of the cutting edge, and then we run it through. There. So I did cut that edge off because the plate went right over this cutting edge, which is what I was getting at before. But there, we have a full edge that has die cut stars. Some of these in here are not totally perfect because the plate didn't quite go over the edge of some of the stars or whatever. But when your background is all inked and stuff like that, it kind of hides some of that, so you don't have to worry about it quite as much. Once you have your stars cut out, just tuck that to the side. We can glue it to our gold vellum. Now for this particular sample, I did gold vellum because I wanted my stars to be gold. If you had, say, a snowflake die cut and you wanted snowflakes in the background, you could do white or silver vellum. But what I would do here is I have an adhesive that's just all dots. I'm gonna do this on top of a scrap piece of paper here. And I'm gonna run it down here. And the reason is I want to glue it onto my vellum, but I can't use a liquid glue because vellum does not like liquid. It makes it warp. There we go. So you have to have a dry glue, but if you have tape, it's going to go right through the stars. The perfect type of adhesive is something like that that has dots And by doing it on the scrap piece of paper, anything that went inside the stars just ends up going onto my scrap piece of paper. And I will toss that in the garbage because I don't need that anymore. And there we go. We have our die cut background with the vellum stars. And I can trim this down if I wanted. It's going to be stuck behind the mountain, so we're actually not going to see any of that. But there we go. It's going to look really, really cute with the light behind it.